Watch the highlight. A fighter catches the best striker in Thailand with an overhand nobody saw coming, drops him twice, and ends it inside 2 rounds. The Thai boxing world calls it a national tragedy. The combat sports world calls it proof. This man is now, officially, the best pound-for-pound striker alive. His name is Chingiz Allazov. There's a real chance you've never heard it. That's not an accident, and it's not because he isn't good enough. For most of the last decade, Allazov was knocking out world champions in tournaments most casual fans never watch, in a sport most casual fans don't follow, in countries most casual fans couldn't find on a map. He built one of the most dominant resumes in modern kickboxing almost entirely out of view. So here's the real question. This video answers, how does someone become the best in the world at something and still stay invisible? Once you see the full run, the losses he had to avenge, the legends he had to go through, you'll understand exactly why his name is about to be impossible to ignore. But to get there, you have to start where almost nobody was watching. Allazov turned pro in 2010. Even then, in fights nobody outside the sport was watching, you could see the difference. Precise hands. A kicking game that actually made sense instead of just looking impressive. The kind of fighter who solves problems instead of just throwing harder. The kind of fighter coaches notice long before crowds do. For the next 5 years, he didn't have a home. He fought across different organizations, building a record of 27 wins and 3 losses. But in a sport with no single unifying league, a record like that can pile up in near total obscurity. You can be excellent and still be invisible if nobody important is watching the right tape. A few people were watching, though. In 2015, fighting for a vacant title against a former K1 champion who'd already beaten the legendary breakout, Allazov lost a point for an accidental foul, found himself down on the cards. With 3 seconds left on the clock, most fighters survive to the bell in that spot. Allazov intercepted his opponent's last desperate attack and landed a single right hand that ended the fight on the spot. That's the first real proof this wasn't a guy who got lucky early and coasted. This was a fighter who found his best self exactly when it mattered most. He defended that title again the next year, this time finishing early with a flying knee and a finishing sequence so clean it looked rehearsed. By 2017, Allazov had the resume of a champion and the name recognition of an opening card fighter. That gap was about to close fast because that year he was about to do something most fighters never get the chance to do: win an entire tournament in a single night. Most fighters get 1 shot a night. In April 2017, Allazov signed up for 3. The format was brutal by design. Win an entire 8-man tournament in a single evening. 3 fights, no rest, against opponents who were also fresh going in. It's the kind of night that exposes anyone who's been getting by on highlight reels instead of conditioning. His quarterfinal opponent, Hiroki Nakajima, was a veteran who'd ended more than a few careers of his own. Allazov worked him down with kicks first, then a straight left out of nowhere dropped him to the canvas.
This is so awesome. This leg bringing him right down to knee level.
Nakajima got back up. Most people wouldn't have, but by then he was barely moving, an easy target standing still. Allazov closed it out with an uppercut nobody saw coming. 1 fight down, no real rest. Straight into the semi-final. His next opponent, Jordan Piker, was riding a 9-fight win streak and came forward like he wanted to end the tournament early. Allazov switched stances mid-exchange, found his timing with a scissor kick, then landed a leaping lead hook from southpaw that put Piker down clean.
I'm sure his leg is still feeling it.
This is the Piker I'm used to seeing.
Yeah.
But his fight with a little bit.
Well, yeah, it's just the timing and distance and movement. That was
Whatever fuel Piker had left to bring into the final, Allazov had just taken it from him instead, which left 1 fight, the final for the actual trophy, against Yasuhiro Kido. This is where the night almost went wrong. Kido was a former tournament winner who had never been finished, the kind of opponent who simply doesn't go away. Allazov dropped him early with a spinning kick to the leg, then got a little too eager chasing the finish and ate a real shot for it.
Just sneaking it up there, bringing it over the top.
Keto does not need to rush things, but it does need to have a big round.
Yeah. Because he did go down, and that big points.
Ooh, damn. And a nasty move there by Allazov.
Yeah.
He can just do it.
He had to reset, regroup, and go again against a man who kept getting back up no matter what landed.
A back up in the air, man.
Yeah, man. Allazov was just getting used to down. It looks, to the judges, complete domination.
Ooh.
Man!
Wow! Oh, nice, man.
Allazov, unreal.
Keto never fell again. He just survived, on heart alone, all the way to the final bell. Allazov won the decision. 3 fights, 1 night, at 24 years old. He'd just won one of the sport's biggest trophies the hard way. Finally, people outside the hardcore kickboxing world started saying his name, but the version of Allazov, who looked unbeatable that night, was about to find out, for the first time in 5 years, what it actually felt like to lose. For the next year, Allazov kept proving the tournament wasn't a fluke, outpointing a Russian Muay Thai veteran from range, picking apart a 300-fight veteran so completely, the man started backpedaling like he'd forgotten which country he was fighting in, finishing a title defense with a single sharp hook after 2 rounds of softening up the body. By every measure, he was still climbing. Then came the test that actually mattered. Bellator wanted to plant a flag in kickboxing, and they put Allazov in with the closest thing the sport had to a final exam. Giorgio Petrosian, nicknamed the Doctor, a fighter with 100 wins and only 2 losses, who'd already dismantled most of the era's best. Allazov started fast, the way he always did. Sharp hooks, heavy combinations, kicks mixed in as a threat more than a habit. For 2 rounds, it looked like business as usual, but Petrosian didn't earn his nickname by accident. By the 3rd round, he'd found the pattern, made the adjustment, and started closing the gap exactly when Allazov needed it shut.
Двойки, что-то вот сейчас двойки не выбрасывают. Белорусский спортсмен. Хотя до этого очень неплохо они у него заходили. В начале раунда есть дыхание. Росян очень неплохо попадает в боковой. В таком полушаге, полускачке. До цели долетает. Ну, концовочка, 15 секунд. Для судей сейчас очень неприятный момент, потому что... Ну, тейкдаун. Тейкдаун? Сейчас неплохо. Извиняюсь, да. Нокдаун. В исполнении... Ну, окей, 1 раунд. Петросяна был, как минимум 1 раунд на его счету есть.
The championship rounds belonged to the Doctor. It was a clean decision loss, and it snapped a streak of 28 fights without a defeat. Allazov's first loss in almost 5 years. Here's what actually matters about that loss for the rest of this story. He didn't fall apart over it. He didn't need to reinvent himself or run from it. He took it, credited Petrosian, and went back to work. Because losing to one of the 2 or 3 best to ever do it doesn't erase what you've built. It just tells you how far you still have to go. What actually threatened to derail him wasn't a fighter at all. In 2019, a hand injury cost him a full year. He was finally ready to return in 2020, and then the entire planet shut down. 6 more months disappeared. By the time Allazov stepped back into a ring, he wasn't just trying to climb anymore. He was trying to find out if the climb was still even possible. January 2021. After a year stolen by an injury and another 6 months stolen by a pandemic, Allazov finally got the call that mattered. A contract with 1 championship, the biggest combat sports promotion in Asia, then in the middle of building out kickboxing as one of its flagship divisions. For his debut, the matchmakers handed him something almost poetic. His opponent was Enrico Kale, the same fighter Allazov had finished with 3 seconds left on the clock back in 2015. In the years since, Kale had racked up over 10 wins of his own and had been waiting for exactly this rematch. This time, Kale didn't let the clock run out on him. He pressed forward from the opening bell, refusing to give Allazov the space he usually thrives in.
Rico Cal, southpaw stance for Cal in the black trunks. Looks to the inside leg. Trying to force Allazov back early. Very high, tight guard on Enrico Cal. Good inside. Allazov's got to be careful not to get too wide in stance. The wider he is, the less his mobility. Another reason they call him the Hurricane. Good boxing combination here from Cal. The aggressor meter early from Enrico Cal.
You can see Cal has started this match in third gear, and he's pushing that pressure on him.
And I think part of the reason why he's doing that, Mitch, is because, like you said, the last match was a nail-biter, and they had...
Allazov answered every exchange instead of backing down, and the fight turned into the kind of two-way chin test neither man would walk away from clean. It went the full distance, and this time the judges sided with Cale. It would have been easy for a promotion to write off a fighter who'd just lost his first appearance on their biggest stage. One didn't. Whatever they'd seen in that fight, they still believed it was enough to put him in the tournament that mattered most. An 8-man Grand Prix to crown the best 155-pound striker in the promotion, against a field stacked with names Allazov had spent his whole career chasing. He was 0-1 in one championship walking into it. Nobody would have blamed him for being the forgotten man in that bracket. That turned out to be a mistake. The quarterfinal lasted 39 seconds. His opponent, Sami Sana, was the reigning WBC Muay Thai champion, a legitimate threat on paper. Allazov went straight to the liver, mixed in low kicks, then disguised his signature head kick behind all of it.
That money. Imagine how much more determined I am tonight. Inside leg kick early from Chingiz Allazov, and a high kick! Smacked the taste out of his mouth with that one. Uppercut. Back goes Sana. He's hurt. Sana's hurt. He's ready to go. Sana's ready to go. Allazov opens up like a house on fire. Oh, the body shot crumples him. 4, 5.
It landed clean. Sana's legs went before his brain caught up, and Allazov finished the job before the broadcast had even settled into the round. The semifinal was barely longer. Joe Natawut, nicknamed Smokin' Joe for the kind of power that ends careers, had lost only once in 6 years, and that one loss was to Giorgio Petrosian, the same man who'd handed Allazov his first defeat. Allazov picked him apart from both stances, found a right hand that put him down, watched him get back up, and put him right back down again.
3-minute round, only a 9-minute fight. You cannot start slow. Allazov tried to counter the high kick with a right hand. Both men trade leg kicks. Allazov goes high, then the tape kick to the mid-hard. He backs him off with the right hand.
That right hand touched him.
Uppercut. Oh, it drops Joe.
Go neutral.
Chingiz Allazov scores the first knockdown. Can Joe get to his feet?
Knows how to utilize that 8 count to its most effectiveness. Chingiz still keeping that pressure on. Look at that beautiful push kick.
Let's go.
Smokin' Joe and a whole lot of bother early on. He loops the right hand, gets dropped for a second time.
2, Michael. That's 2.
Oh, this is a murderous round from Chingiz Allazov. Is it over?
That's it.
Total time, about a minute and a half, which meant the final, the one that actually decided the tournament, came down to Sitachai Sitsongpeenong. Here's what most viewers watching that final didn't know going in. Sitachai had already beaten Allazov once, 8 years earlier, back when Allazov was still an unknown prospect with more hunger than polish. Sitachai was a legend by any measure, a former champion across multiple organizations, ranked among the 3 best strikers alive, regardless of weight class. He was the betting favorite for a reason that had nothing to do with hype. Allazov took the center of the ring anyway. Sitachai got off a clean 1-2 and pushed into a kicking exchange, but lost it clearly. Allazov kept switching looks, attacking and countering depending on what the moment called for.
Front kick from Sitachai.
Good evasion though by Allazov to avoid that front kick.
Allazov cannot trying to catch Sitachai cold perhaps.
Allazov is throwing heat in this first minute.
High kick, no switch there from Allazov. Good catch right hand.
Sitachai's going to do his best to try to become a little bit quicker and fire things off a little bit faster.
In the second half, Sitachai started taking bigger risks to find an opening, and bigger risks meant bigger openings for Allazov, who had the faster hands and used every one of them.
Allazov's got to lead the dance.
Chingiz caught him.
But Sitachai has turned it up here in the second, being a lot more...
Round.
Good check. Good defense shown by Allazov right here as he goes to the body.
How do you do? Allazov having fun.
Stop. 7-8.
15 seconds remaining now. Round kick was blocked. Inside leg kick was not. Uppercut opportunity. No, it's Knees from Setbacks, knees from Allazov. We are going to the judges. Both men think they've got it. We are going to the judges. Wild Dragon,
Allazov won clearly. 8 years after his first loss to Setbacks in the final of the biggest tournament of his career, he beat him back. 3 fights, 1 trophy, the most prestigious Grand Prix in modern kickboxing, won by a man who, 4 fights earlier, was sitting at 0-1 in his new promotion, and easy to write off. There was one more fight left that actually mattered, and it had a layer to it most fans missed completely. A year earlier, Superbon Banchamek had become a star almost overnight by knocking out Giorgio Petrosyan, the same Giorgio Petrosyan who'd handed Allazov his only real loss years before. Superbon walked into 2023 with 5 years unbeaten, a student of the legendary Buakaw, and a reputation for putting people in actual hospital beds. After Allazov had already beaten 2 of Thailand's most decorated strikers, Superbon stepped up as the one fighter who could avenge both of them at once. Allazov didn't treat him with any extra caution. He opened with the same formula that had carried him this far: a cross to lead, a hook to the body, a counter off a stance switch. Superbon looked for his signature kick to the head, patient, waiting for the gap. Early in the second round, the gap closed the other way. Allazov caught him completely off guard with a Superman punch, followed by an overhand nobody in the building saw coming.
Rich just spotted out like he's switching stance or move ahead on the scorecards. Maybe it caused warning Chingiz pushing the legs again. This is the second time. This is one more time he's going to take. He's going to get Nobody expected that to happen. I told you. He's not on stable legs. I told you, Chingiz is bringing the fight to Superbon with him being high volume.
The referee let it continue. It shouldn't have. Superbon went down again almost immediately, and this time there was no getting back up in time. It had taken less than 2 rounds to put away the man considered the closest thing kickboxing had to an unbeatable favorite. The reaction wasn't just excitement, it was disbelief, especially back in Thailand, where 2 of the country's most beloved fighters had now both fallen to the same outsider in less than a year. Here's the part worth sitting with. The man who'd handed Allazov his only loss was Giorgio Petrosyan. The man Allazov had just knocked out built his entire legend on beating Petrosyan. Years later, without ever getting the rematch he probably wanted, Allazov had effectively settled that score anyway by going through the man who'd already gone through him. By 30 years old, Allazov wasn't chasing recognition anymore. He was the #1 pound-for-pound kickboxer on the planet. Full stop. No qualifiers. So go back to the question this video opened with: how does someone become the best in the world at something and still stay a stranger to most of the people watching? The honest answer is that for years, the only thing missing wasn't the skill, it was the stage. Every fight in this video happened in front of people who already knew. The rest of the world is just catching up now. If you want to see more fighters like this before everyone else does, that's exactly what this channel is built for. Hit subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.